Ginahasa umano ang isang dalagita sa banyo sa loob ng kanyang pinapasukang paaralan sa Novaliches, Quezon City. Ang lalaking nanggahasa raw sa biktima, outsider. Makibalita tayo kay Susan Enriquez.
Sa loob ng comfort room na ito ng San Agustin Elementary School sa Novaliches, Quezon City, naganap ang umano'y rape sa isang 13 taong gulang na dalagita. Ang biktima, inihatid ang nakababatang kapatid sa eskwelahan para bantayan sa makeup class nitong Sabado. Sa CCTV, makikita ang suspect nang pumasok sa compound ng eskwelahan. Ang paalam, kakausapin daw ang prinsipal. Sa ground floor, kitang nilapitan ng suspect ang biktima na may itinanong. Ang biktima naman, makikita sa CCTV na naglakad palapit sa suspect.
Bigla na lang lumapit itong suspect at nagsasabi siyang, sinabi niyang nawawalan siya ng wallet at naiwan niya ito sa principal's office. Yung bata sumama sa suspect para ituro sana kung saan yung principal's office.
Nang makarating na sa ika-4 na palapag ng gusali, dito raw tinutukan ng suspect ang biktima ng patalim at pilit ipinasok sa loob ng comfort room. Pero isang guro ang nakadiskubre ng krimen.
Isinususi ko pa lamang po yung pintuan ng CR. Bumukas ng kaunti. Nagulat ako dahil merong lalaking tumayo na naka-t-shirt ng itim. Pagtawag ko sa kanya, namalayan ko na lang na bumaba yung lalaki.
Kita pa sa CCTV na humahangos ang suspect palabas ng school compound. Sa inisyal na investigasyon ng pulisya, outsider ang suspect. Wala pang pagkakakilanlan dito para hindi na maulit ang pangyayari.
Paggawa na po ako ng holding area po dyan para hindi pumasok na ang outsider at saka mga magulang. Kahit po nagagalit sila sa akin, kailangan mag-impose kami ng mission.
Patuloy pa pinaghahanap ng pulisya ang suspect habang inihahanda ang reklamo laban dito. Tumanggi magbigay ng pahayag ang pamilya ng biktima. Susan Enriquez, GMA News.
Sa loob mismo ng isolation facility, ginahasa umano ang isang babae sa Legazpi City sa Albay. Ang suspect, kapwa pasyente ng biktima. Nakatutok si Chino Gaston.
Sa Ibalong Centrum for Recreation Isolation Facility sa Legazpi, Albay, binuno ng isang babae ang 14 na araw ng isolation dahil sa COVID. Pero ang dapat sanay masayang paglabas niya sa quarantine, nauwi sa panggagahasa umano ng lalaking kapwa pasyente sa facility. Sa investigasyon ng Legazpi Police, hinihintay ng biktima ang kanyang sundo. Pauwi noong gabi ng June 10, nang yayain umano ito ng suspect na makipag-inuman sa loob ng isolation facility. Pinaunlakan ng biktima ang hiling ng suspect na nakasama niya rin ng ilang araw sa pasilidad.
Nung pumunta po sa comfort room yung biktima, allegedly po sinundan po siya ng respondent at prusahan po siya, nagkaroon po ng rape. Nung araw din yon, June 10, 2021, pinosis po namin yung inquest. Hindi naman po nag-request ng preliminary investigation yung respondent.
Nakakulong na sa Legazpi City Police Station ang suspect. Hindi na siya nakuna ng pahayag alinsunod sa COVID-19 protocols. Naglunsad naman ng internal investigation ang Legazpi LGU para malaman kung paano nagkaroon ng inuman sa loob ng COVID facility at bakit hindi naagapan ng krimen ng mga kinontratang private security at ng mga nagbabantay na pulis.
Bakit nakapasok? Allegedly, nag-inuman. Ang ibig sabihin, nakapasok yung alak, bawal. So, yan baga may security tayo dyan. Bayad, baga may contract tayo dyan. May police. So, what really happened? Ano ito? Palagi na ba ito? Bakit hindi nakarating sa amin? Kaya nagpa-conduct ako ng internal investigation din namin. Tungkol ito doon sa sistema sa loob. May na-break bang protocol tayo? So, siyempre mananagot yung security agency, even the police assigned.
Chino Gaston, nakatutok, 24 oras.
Globally, 1 in 3 women worldwide have been victims of violence, the majority of which has happened within the household or family. Some women stop their jobs or roles after sharing that they had been victims of harassment in their workplace. Some are also silent as they feared for their lives during alleged rape. See, When these people are asked to describe their experiences, there is only silence. These very same people are afraid to be examined, judged, and discriminated. Yet, there is no enough pressure pressing down on the abusers.
It started when I heard my mom screaming at my stepdad in the room. There were a loud bang, and I hurriedly went inside my room to hide. I think my stepdad was hurting mom. I am scared for my life that he will come and try to take me away from my mom. Even when I was scared to death to go upstairs, I still went, and I could see splatters of blood. I was shaking and scared to death. That night, I called for my grandparents and asked if they could come because I couldn't bear to see my mom suffer. I told them what happened and told me to stay in the basement no matter what I hear. After 30 minutes of curling up myself in the basement, I heard a boom boom. Then the door flew open, and there were police officers together with my grandparents. When he raised his voice and argued, it made me scared. When my mom and I walked out of the house, I was traumatized. After that, I never saw him again. I wish he could go to hell.
Gender-based violence violates several women's rights, such as the right to life, the right to equal protection under the law, freedom from torture, degrading and cruel treatment, the right to equality in the family, and also the right to the highest standard attainable of physical and mental health. No one knows what the future holds, except the one who holds the future. To those who have experienced or may have experienced violence in their lives, especially our women who have experienced abuse from their husbands, married or not, ex-husbands, boyfriends, and even girlfriends. Let's go back to the law that provides protection to female victims of violence.
Have you heard about the Law on Anti-Violence Against Women and Children, or VAWC? Do you know anyone who is suffering from abuse such as deprivation of financial support? What should be done in these cases? Let me discuss it with you in this video. The law is Republic Act number 9262, or the Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act of 2004. It applies to women and children who suffer violence and abuse. Violence against women and their children refers to any act or a series of acts committed by any person against a woman who is his wife, former wife, or against a woman with whom the person has or had a sexual or dating relationship, or with whom he has a common child. It may also be committed against the person's child, whether legitimate or illegitimate. The act or series of acts that may constitute violation of the law are physical violence, sexual violence, psychological violence, or economic abuse. Economic abuse may refer to withdrawal of financial support, or preventing the victim from engaging in any legitimate profession, occupation, business or activity, except on valid grounds under the law, deprivation or threat of deprivation of financial resources and the right to the use and enjoyment of the conjugal, community or property owned in common, destroying household property and controlling the victim's own money or properties or solely controlling the conjugal money or properties. Under Section 25, violence against women and their children shall be considered a public offense which may be prosecuted upon the filing of a complaint by any citizen having personal knowledge of the circumstances involving the commission of the crime. The law allows women and their children to secure barangay protection order and/or temporary or permanent protection order from the courts. The relief granted under a protection order serve the purpose of safeguarding the victim from further harm, minimizing any disruption in the victim's daily life, and facilitating the opportunity and ability of the victim to independently regain control over her life. All temporary protection orders and permanent protection orders issued shall be enforceable anywhere in the Philippines. Under Section 9 of Republic Act No. 9262, a petition for protection order may be filed by the offended party, parents or guardians of the offended party, ascendants, descendants or collateral relatives within the fourth civil degree of consanguinity or affinity, officers or social workers of the DSWD or social workers of local government units, police officers, preferably those in charge of women and children's desks, punong barangay or barangay kagawad, lawyer, counselor, therapist or healthcare provider of the petitioner, or at least two concerned responsible citizens of the city or municipality where the violence against women and their children occurred and who has personal knowledge of the offense committed. The elements of violation of Section 5I of RA 9262 are: 1. The offended party is a woman and/or her child or children. 2. The woman is either the wife or former wife of the offender, or is a woman with whom the offender has or had a sexual or dating relationship, or is a woman with whom such offender has a common child. As for the woman's child or children, they may be legitimate or illegitimate, or living within or without the family abode. 3. The offender causes on the woman and/or child mental or emotional anguish. And 4. The anguish is caused through acts of public ridicule or humiliation, repeated verbal and emotional abuse, denial of financial support or custody of minor children or access to the children or similar such acts or omissions.
The Philippines passed this law to protect the women and children against violence and addressing violence against women and children in accordance with, among other things, the fundamental liberties protected by the Constitution and the provisions of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. "20% of women report of having ever been the victims of emotional abuse, 13% of physical abuse, and 5% of sexual abuse by their former or present husband or boyfriends. Everyone is at risk, especially the women and children, because they frequently have lost rights or inadequate protection. Women must remain happy, secure, and safe in their homes because they are gentle, delicate, and beautiful. They are also intended to be safeguarded. They shouldn't be mistreated or denied of their rights."
On the 5th of July in Davao, Kevin Velasquez, our boss, sexually harassed my coworker and I. He groped me, kissed my friend on the lips without her consent. He made several attempts to corner me and press his body against mine. I told him I wasn't interested multiple times. I distanced myself from him throughout the meeting. Before or during the meeting, I never gave him consent to this behavior, but he wouldn't stop. At one point during the meeting, I bent over to pick up a plastic bag, but he proceeded to grab my whole crotch. This incident has scared me in many ways. It's been a struggle to process this because it was my first time experiencing something as terrifying as this. I was afraid to come forward because of the fear of this stigma. I also don't want to lose my job because of this. I've come to terms with these feelings. I just want to come forward with my truth and be honest.
Being disbelieved is the main concern that every sexual assault victims have. Even if there is even the slightest possibility of doubt, resist the urge to show skepticism. A sexual assault survivor or victim most needs time and patience. It takes a long time and entails letting go of a lot of concerns for her to recover from the pain of her attack. The best you can do for them is to believe.
The Philippines Anti-Sexual Harassment Law of 1995 defines sexual harassment as the demand of sexual act or favor in an institution wherein the person who demands the act is an immoral ascendancy or influence over the person being solicited. It is considered harassment regardless of whether or not the victim agrees to partake in the act. If a woman feels discomfort or distress during the request, solicitation, or act, it is considered harassment. We must eliminate the power disparities that allowed someone with money and influence to consider someone with less power as nothing more than a sexual object in order to stop sexual harassment from happening. Women frequently find themselves in precarious situations because they don't want to risk their professional possibilities or other relationships by saying no or stop. When enough individuals respond negatively to an incident, speak up collectively at the moment and make it clear that this is not acceptable for you. Harassers will be aware that they are putting their reputations, social standings, and privileges at risk.
I have been raped several times and I'm still a minor. I'm a woman. I have not seen a psychiatrist. I'm almost 14. My rapist is a brother who's a year older than me. First off, I've had many psychological issues. To this day, I had this severe and chronic depression, some form of PTSD, and anxiety, social stigma, since no one believed that I was raped. I also have this what they called psychosis. And also I have the auditory and sensory hallucinations. Social awkwardness, of course, I experienced that one. Since I can't trust anyone after what happened. And I am eccentric when I speak. I have these weird speaking patterns. I dissociate from time to time. I have suicidal thoughts and the feelings of worthlessness. Second, I still feel guilty. I have these dreams where my rapist and I had consensual sex and we enjoy it, which put me in disgust and confused me. My brain still thinks I'm in the wrong. I'm mad. I can't just let it go. I can't let it go. And not letting it go causes me a great distress. I have happy days, but the thought of what my brother did to me passes through my head.
A victim mindset is primarily comprised of fear, whereas courage is the principal remedy. But what sort of bravery? What particularly do you need the guts for? Imagine yourself grasping a steel bar with both hands as you dangle over a void. Your identity is represented by the steel bar. It is made up of your self-perceptions. You regain freedom when you release the bar and allow yourself to fall. Now let the bar slip away by opening your hands. It's okay. It is okay. You get used to falling because there is no ground to hit. And with that way, you will attain the freedom that you longed for.
When we say anti-rape law, it is the Republic Act number 8353, known as the Anti-Rape Law of 1997. It expanded the definition of the crime of rape and reclassified it as a crime against person. Previously, it was classified as a crime against chastity and belonged to the crime group that includes adultery, concubinage, acts of lasciviousness, seduction, corruption of minors, and white slave trade. To stop rape, you must first realize that there are various types of rape. One is the notion of a stranger leaping from underbrush. I advise learning self-defense techniques. A good class emphasizes more than just martial arts. It also emphasizes being aware of your surroundings and exuding cuts. These AC techniques will discourage some rapists without taking any actions. The following piece of advice is up for debate. Don't overindulge in alcohol in an ambiguous situation. It is recommended to stay away from those who will take advantage of someone who is inebriated. I stated in an uncontrollable situation, take note. Weapons like sprays, tasers, and guns can be effective options, but they also require training and responsibility. They work, as I said, but you need to use them consistently. I advise starting with self-defense instructions.
These issues could feel dismal and almost impossible to overcome. But know that there are things you can do to help. No more statistics with anonymous face, no more silenced voices. No more tolerating offensive and harmful sexual behavior, and no more neglecting victims.